Have you ever wondered why you sometimes feel torn between two very different impulses inside yourself? The part of you that wants to push forward, take action, and make things happen. And then there's the part of you that longs to soften, to surrender, to rest in the flow of life. Now, what if I told you that this inner dance is not random at all, but rather actually the most ancient story of creation itself? In today's episode, I'm diving deep into one of the most provocative teachings in Kabbalah, the archetypes of the masculine and the feminine. And let me be crystal clear before I jump in. When I speak of the masculine and feminine, I'm not reducing this to gender roles or body parts. This is not a men versus women episode, right? The thing is that every single one of us carries both energies inside. They are primordial forces, cosmic blueprints of existence that are encoded into our souls. So the masculine and feminine are not just concepts. They are the very way that energy moves in the universe. And when we understand how they operate, and I'd say even more importantly, when we learn how to bring them into balance inside of ourselves, we unlock a level of power, creativity, and inner peace that most people never touch in their lifetime. So in this episode, I'll share how Kabbalah describes the masculine and feminine energies of creation. I cover the distortions of each of these energetic archetypes and what happens when our systems are out of balance. I talk about why so many women today over-identify with the masculine drive to go, 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 and what it looks like to soften back into feminine receptivity without losing your power. I talk about why some men overindulge in rest, introspection, and self-care, and how they can access true aligned action and alacrity. And most importantly, I cover practical tools for bringing these masculine and feminine energies within you into harmony so that you can start manifesting from a place of wholeness. So if you're ready to understand yourself more deeply, heal that split within, and step into your full creative power, then this episode is for you. Let's jump in. Becoming a co-creator with the creator is your birthright. Together, we'll journey into your deepest authenticity. Because the more you align with who you truly are, the more effortlessly you call in the life that you desire and deserve. And most importantly, the more you step into your soul's highest purpose. Welcome to the Manifestation Method podcast, your number one source for Kabbalistic manifestation. Here we combine the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, modern psychology, and quantum physics to help you achieve real, tangible manifestation results with my proven Abra method. I'm Ayelet Polonsky, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of manifesting a life that is aligned, expansive, and deeply connected to your highest self through the sacred energetic mechanics of Kabbalistic manifestation. To learn how to use Kabbalistic manifestation to transform your life from the inside out, go to ayeletpolonsky.com or download the Manifestation Method app. Let's open the gates of manifestation together. Now imagine this. In the beginning, when the cosmos was still humming with raw creation, God fashioned two great luminaries, the sun and the moon. Now, both burned originally with radiant light. Both were magnificent. But then the moon turned to God and said, Master of the universe, can two kings wear one crown? Can two lights share the sky equally? And so, in response, God diminished the moon's light. And as a result, the moon would no longer shine by her own radiance, but instead she would reflect the light of the sun. Now, this isn't just a story about astronomy. It's rather a mystical teaching about archetypes. And in Kabbalah, the sun is the symbol that represents the masculine. It represents the radiant, the outward, the bestowing, while the moon is the symbol of the feminine. She represents the reflective, the inward, the receptive. And so the sun shines with a steady brilliance, like the energy of drive and action and giving and doing, while the moon receives and mirrors that light. She changes through her cycles, right? Like the energy of intuition and creativity and gestation. But here's the mystery. The moon was never meant to stay diminished forever. In fact, our mystics teach that her loss of light was not a punishment, but rather a promise, a cosmic setup for humanity's work. It was a promise for her to restore her radiance, to heal the rift in the masculine-feminine dynamic, to rebalance those dynamics. And doesn't that really echo in our day-to-day lives? I mean, for thousands of years, the feminine in women, in men, in culture has been repressed or suppressed, has been exiled, has been stripped of her natural brilliance and importance. In fact, we've been taught to value the sun's steady blaze, the sun's logic, the sun's productivity, the sun's power. And so meanwhile, the moon's gifts, her intuition, her sensitivity, her receptivity, her flow have been dismissed as weak or lesser than. But here's the truth. The truth is that the moon holds a secret power. Her light waxes and wanes. She teaches us about cycles. She teaches us about mystery. She teaches us about the wisdom of the dark. And she teaches us how to tune in to the cycles of nature and season. And so the feminine energy is not about dimming the masculine, but rather about completing it, coming to a place of wholeness where both luminaries shine again in their radiance, in their importance, and where we're able to really place equal value on the gifts that both energies have come to bestow upon humanity. So together, in essence, sun and moon, masculine and feminine, create balance. And so when I talk about healing the masculine and feminine within ourselves, I'm talking about restoring the moon's light. I'm talking about allowing the feminine in all of us, the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God, to rise out of exile and stand in equality once again with the sun. And this is what our work here is to do. And that's what I'm here to unpack in this episode, is to shine light on exactly what does this mean, practically speaking, and how do I go about doing it? And here's the mystery. Both of these energies are essential, are divine, and both of these masculine and feminine energies live inside you and inside me. Because without the masculine, the feminine has no container. Her waters would literally spill without direction. And without the feminine, The masculine becomes brittle and rigid. It becomes all form without flow, all action without nourishment. And so Kabbalah comes to teach that creation itself depends on this interplay. And so the masculine pours out blessing like rain from the heavens. And what the feminine does is she receives the blessing. She holds it in a gestation period, and then she births it into form. And together they create a life force, a dance of creation, of manifestation. And so when I speak of balancing these archetypes, I'm not talking about men versus women. I'm talking about you as an individual and the wholeness of your soul and the tikkun that your soul came here to complete. And so how do you hold the fiery clarity of your inner masculine while simultaneously honoring the intuition of your inner feminine? And how do you let them meet? How do you let them dance and create through you? I see this as really the great alchemy of being human. It is so fun. It is so juicy. It is so yummy when we come into harmony and balance inside of ourselves. And so if you want proof of this dance, right, you don't have to look any further than the complexity in the design of the human body itself. I mean, the male organ is outward by design, right? It extends, it penetrates, it releases. It mirrors the very archetypal energy of the masculine. It is forward moving, it is giving, it is offering, and it projects into the world. That is the masculine. And in contrast, the female organ is inward. It is hidden. It is receptive. It's an inner temple, right? The feminine, it doesn't reach outward. She draws inward. She gathers. She is the vessel, the container, or we'll call it sacred space where what is offered to her can be received, nurtured, and then transformed, manifested into something more, something in 3D reality. And so historically, this has always been reflected in the dance of life. The way we've seen it happen over thousands of years, is over millennium, is the man would go out as the hunter, the gatherer, the one bringing raw material from the wild, and then he would return home with the external goods. And then the feminine, in all of her magic, she would transform it. The raw meat became a meal. The house became a home. Unless, of course, you're in my family, in which case it's my husband who does the cooking. But historically speaking, we're in a different generation today. I think you get the point. I mean, let's face it, even biologically, the pattern still holds. And that's what I'm trying to express and get across, is that there's patterns here that hold up and prove that these archetypes of masculine and feminine have very different but equally important energetics. And so we see it biologically in the way that a man carries millions of seeds within him, right? Sperm, pure potential. And he offers just one out of millions to his female counterpart. And then she, with her mysterious inner alchemy, she multiplies it into an entirely new life. She creates a whole human being. And that is the power of the feminine, to take what is potential and bring it into actuality. So in essence, what we see here is that the two energies really need each other. The masculine is pure potential, raw energy, direction, a spark, while the feminine is the actualizer, the multiplier, the alchemist who transforms seed into fruit, spark into flame, and blessings into life. And so this interplay, I'd say, isn't just about reproduction or the way we've seen roles, masculine, feminine roles play out historically, but rather it's a cosmic truth. And it's inscribed in our very design, in our very spiritual, biological, physical, mental makeup, right? It's how the world keeps creating itself. And it's ultimately how we, within our own souls, keep creating ourselves and rebirthing ourselves anew. Okay, so let's bring this point home in a way that's more relatable and understandable even, right? Because what does this mean for us in real life today? Well, before we can understand what it means for us today, let's rewind thousands of years back, I should say rather for the past thousands of years, we have lived under a predominantly patriarchal paradigm. And again, just to crystallize and clarify here, when I say patriarchy, I am not blaming or attacking men as a group. I love men. I love my husband. I love my son. I love my father. I have brothers. I love men. I think they are necessary. They are important. And my whole point here is to bring home the idea that both energies need to come into harmony within ourselves. Okay, so what I'm speaking about when I say patriarchal paradigm is more of a cultural model that privileges masculine traits, such as thinking linearly, like logic, domination, productivity, control, success, and the financial means of success, and the productive means of success, right? And so our society, our community, our culture has kind of favored that and given that importance over feminine traits such as intuition, softness, receptivity, nurturing, embodiment. And so when a culture represses half of reality, what happens as a result is we all suffer, men and women, right? Masculine identified people and feminine identified people alike. All of us are impacted by this shift in the dynamic. And so the result from a Kabbalistic perspective, as we've seen, is that we've seen the exile of the Shekhinah, right? And the Shekhinah being the divine feminine presence of God, right? The Kabbalah teaches that the Shekhinah has been in exile for thousands of years, that she has been wandering, she's been hidden, she's been yearning to be reunited with her beloved, with Source. And what's happening now in our lifetimes is a great renaissance of the divine feminine. We are awakening. We are doing parts work. We are healing shame, guilt, buried emotion, right? We're getting more in touch with the parts of ourselves that we've all exiled for so many years of our own lives. And in doing so, we are literally participating and preparing the landscape for the redemption of the Shekhinah so that she can be reunited with her masculine counterpart, which is so beautiful, right? Hi, Ayelet here. I just wanted to pop in and say I am so excited to officially introduce the Manifestation Method portal, membership, and app. This is your home for all things Kabbalistic manifestation. You'll get access to my monthly live workshops, soul deep hypno activations and attunements, all of our manifestation courses, and our global community of manifestors. And the best part? It's just $26 a month. That's less than a latte a week. Come manifest alongside me and start creating the life you desire and deserve. Head over to ayeletpolonsky.com to join us. And so let's take a moment to talk about what this actually looks like inside of us. Because the truth is, every single one of us carries both the luminous and the shadow expressions of the masculine and the feminine. Right? When the feminine is wounded, she collapses into victimhood. She feels powerless to change her reality. Or another way that she expresses herself when she's wounded is she manipulates. She uses subtle energy to get what she wants without asking directly. She may hide her power or swallow her voice or doubt her own worth. Sometimes she might overgive. She might pour herself out to everyone around her until she's empty and there's nothing left. Right? And other times she withholds, right? She shuts down her nurturing and she retreats into coldness, right? So it becomes this like push-pull of, I'll love you, but only if, right? And that's what happens when the feminine is wounded. But what happens when the feminine is healthy and healed? She becomes utterly magnetic. She doesn't chase, she attracts. She radiates. She trusts her cyclical nature. And she knows that just as the moon waxes and wanes, her energy, her emotions, and her creative power do too. And she gives herself full permission to feel deeply what she's feeling without judgment. And then what she does is she births visions into being, right? Whether that's a literal child or if you're a person in a man's body who identifies as a man, and I'm speaking to your inner feminine as well, right? Maybe you're birthing into existence a work of art, a new business, a new paradigm, an artistic project, right? So the feminine flows with life rather than forcing it. And in her presence, others feel safe to soften. Others feel safe to return home to themselves, right? Now let's take a look at the masculine, right? When the masculine becomes wounded, he becomes overbearing. He dominates. He forces outcomes. He pushes for success at all costs. And he lives as if life were a battlefield, right? He strives and he strives, but he never rests because rest feels like death to him. He worships productivity over presence. He worships logic over intuition, control over trust. And so this is the masculine the masculine in all of us that burns out. It's the masculine that goes to war, whether it's externally or internally. And in doing so, he loses connection to the heart. But on the flip side, what is so beautiful, and this is what we need more of in the world, is the healthy masculine. Because when the masculine is healthy, everything shifts, right? He protects, but not to control, but to create safety in himself and in everyone around him, right? He builds structure, again, not to imprison, but to provide the feminine with the sacred container that she needs in order to blossom. And he takes aligned action, but not from a place of hustling for the sake of hustling, but rather moving in service of his truth. And so he pursues with integrity. He shows up consistently and with devotion. He is assertive, but without being domineering. And he sets direction while also honoring the whispers of intuition, right? So he's kind of like the sand that holds the waves, or the riverbanks that hold the water. He's the container. And without him, the river would flood and lose its path. right? But with him, the waters can flow powerfully and with purpose. He contains while she flows. And in that relationship, whether it's between lovers, between friends, or even within your own psyche, this is the alchemy we are aiming for, right? Not one overpowering the other, not one diminishing itself in order to make room for the other, but rather the sacred marriage of the feminine and the masculine. Because honestly, when these two dance together in their healthy forms, magic happens. The masculine provides the structure, the direction, the focus, and the feminine fills that structure with life, with beauty, with feeling, with creation. And together they weave a tapestry of wholeness, right? And together they both deeply, deeply, deeply remember that we were never meant to be divided. We were never meant to be at war with one another. Okay, and so let's take this and get a little practical for a moment, because it's one thing to understand these archetypes, and it's another to live them in balance. Okay, and so let's start with many women. Perhaps there are women like you who can relate. I know I can relate to this. Women who are visionaries, creators, speakers, leaders, doers, right? Women who have big dreams and who know that they are here to build something real in this lifetime, right? And for us, that masculine energy can often be strong, right? We've been trained by society to believe our worth lies in our productivity, right? To believe that our worth lies in how many tasks we can cross off the list, right? Or in how much money we can make, or in how quickly we get to the next milestone. And so the message has been, for women who have a strong masculine, the harder you push, the more you're able to prove your value. I feel like unpacking that line is a podcast episode in and of itself, right? Because in some ways, this masculine drive has carried us. It has allowed us to break barriers. It has allowed us to speak our truth and to create businesses and to build platforms. But we have to be aware of something important, and that is the shadow side to this. Because if we only live from that place, we disconnect from the feminine. We forget how to rest. We forget how to receive, which from a manifestation perspective, that's everything. And we forget how to feel. And we burn out. And we start to equate slowing down as failure. Oh boy, have I had to learn this lesson time and time again, more often than not the hard way. Okay, so what's the invitation here? And I'm reminding myself of this invitation constantly, right? For women with a strong inner masculine, the medicine is to reclaim the feminine, to soften, to remember that creation doesn't come only from doing, but real manifestation happens through the birthing of being. And that taking rest is not laziness, but rather it's fertile soil. That's your magnetism. That's your ability to attract opportunities, to attract clients, to attract love and support. And that magnetism, it amplifies when you are radiant, when you are taking care of yourself, when you are nourished, not when you are exhausted, right? So simple practices that can help you here are to let yourself receive without guilt, whether it's compliments, support, money, love, whatever it is, receive without guilt. Another thing you can do is build time for pleasure in your day every day. Whether it's a walk, a bath, a meal that you're able to really savor and eat slowly. I know for me, oftentimes that sacred pause in the middle of my hustle is to make myself a cup of ceremonial cacao and to sit outside in my backyard. That's like just a magical, mystical fairy garden. And to sit on my comfy little couch or in the hammock and drink my cacao while looking up at the trees, right? That's so nourishing for me. Another thing we can do is to create space to just be without an agenda. That one was really hard for me when I first started doing this work in like empowering my inner feminine, right? It was like, I remember years ago when I started this, just sitting there and trying to be without an agenda, and just, I'm like, wait a minute, no, I have to do something. What do you mean just sit there and do nothing? Like, what does that even mean? I need to fill up my time. And it was a real avoda, a real inner alchemy to be able to sit there and be with myself. And not just that, but the next level of that was to like really fall in love with just being with myself. Now that space has become sacred and yummy, and I yearn for those moments, right? Another thing we can do is practice trust. Trust that not everything needs to be forced, right? That life can come to you. You don't have to always be in the doing, right? It's really about letting the masculine energy that you already have be in service to the feminine, right? To provide structure. Yes, to provide structure, but a structure that allows your essence to blossom, right? Okay. Now let me direct this to the men, right? Because many men today, right, especially those on the spiritual path, find themselves leaning into the feminine in ways that their fathers and grandfathers never could, just didn't have the opportunity, right? You guys are meditating, you're journaling, you're taking naps, you're resting, you're feeling, you're caring for your bodies and your inner world. And I would be the first person to say, this is so freaking beautiful and honorable. It's a reclamation. It's the healing of generations of men who were taught to harden and to suppress and to not be in touch with their emotions because it's not safe to do so. Okay, so I do want to honor all of that and say applause to those of you who are doing it. Keep going, but, and there is a big but here, right? Sometimes that pendulum just swings a little too far. Right? Some men can get lost in self-indulgence, in the endless introspection, in the narrative or the reality rather, that I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll take care of it tomorrow. I'll let the dishes pile up. I'll let the laundry pile up. I'll take care of that task tomorrow. I'm just basking in me right now, in the being. And most of the time, these men actually want success. They want the financial, the professional, the relational success, but they struggle to take consistent, aligned action. They resist the discomfort of the stretch, and they wait until conditions are perfect. And then they wonder to themselves why life feels stagnant. Why aren't things moving? So what's the medicine here for you? For these men, the invitation is to reclaim the healthy masculine, right? To remember that action is sacred, that discipline is not punishment, but rather it's devotion. I love that. I remember a mentor telling me this one time, like discipline is not punishment, it's devotion. So when I show up to my work, when I show up to my clients, when I show up to my community or to, gatherings that we hold, it's not a discipline that feels like punishment. It feels like devotion, and I get to pour my devotion into it. And really that's what the world needs, right? The world needs your gifts, not just as an idea, but as something embodied, built, and shared. And so some practical ways to do this would be to, simply put, set clear, realistic goals. And it's not enough to put pen to paper. That's step one, and it's crucial. But then move toward them daily, even if it's imperfect, right? Get comfortable with the thought of maybe this is going to fail. And even take it one step further and ask yourself, what would happen if I could not fail? What if failure was just an illusion? And what if every step I took was just a milestone, a learning opportunity that got me to the next rung in my life's unfolding, right? Another thing you can do is practice alacrity, right? That's the art of taking action quickly without overthinking. I would say this is probably like the secret to my success, or one of the secrets to my success. People are like, how do you build things all the time? And I'm just like, honestly, I don't even think. I literally don't even think. If an idea pops into my head, I take immediate aligned action, and then I deal with the logistics and the practical step by step later, right? But I take the first initial step, whatever that baby step is, and I do it without overthinking. Another thing you can do is honor commitments as sacred, right? Honoring commitments as sacred to themselves, like honoring the commitments you make to yourself, the commitments you make to others, the commitment to your mission. Like, start really having integrity around your commitments. And then finally, create supportive structures. Have mentors. Have people in your life that can hold you accountable. Partners, schedules, right? So that you don't just drift into outer space. Okay. And again, it's not about abandoning the feminine practices of rest and care. Not at all. It's about letting them serve the masculine drive and give you the force so that you have the energy to act, build, and provide, right? Don't let the pendulum swing too far in any direction, right? This is an art of integrating self-care, but with purpose, right? So that the energy that's being cultivated inwardly is actually expressed outwardly as well, right? And so here's the beauty. When the feminine learns to soften and when the masculine learns to strengthen, something shifts, right? Not just individually in ourselves, but collectively, right? We begin to heal the centuries-old imbalance, right? And that is such an important part of being a piece of a bigger collective history, right? And so, and Kabbalah warns us that when the masculine and feminine are at war inside of us, that we become walking contradictions. We can often feel torn, we can feel restless, never at peace, right? And so the goal here is integration, not dominance, right? The feminine without the masculine can actually drown in too much feeling without a structure to hold her, right? While the masculine without the feminine becomes brittle and disconnected and cold, right? But when they unite, they really become a vessel for a divine presence, right? And so right now, humanity is in a massive initiation. The old paradigm of domination and suppression is crumbling. In fact, people everywhere are waking up to their bodies, to their intuition, to their emotions, to their exiled parts. And this is the Shekhinah returning from exile. This is the divine feminine rising. And it's not to destroy the masculine at all, but to dance with him again as an equal. And so when I invite you to awaken your feminine, please take this as an invitation to not abandon your masculine, right? I'm asking you to heal the split, to end the war, to become a full reflection of the divine, right? Because it's only when sun and moon shine together, right? Only when masculine and feminine embrace as one that the world can come to know peace, and that you can come to know peace and harmony and see manifestations unfold in your personal life. So I invite you before we close to take a deep breath with me here. Feel into your body for a moment. Can you sense the sun inside of you? That steady fire, the clarity, the drive. Can you sense the part of you that wants to shine its light outward? And simultaneously, can you sense the moon? That cool glow, the mystery, the soft pulse of intuition, right? The part of you that waxes and wanes, that receives and reflects, because both live inside of you. Both are divine. And this is the great work of our time. This is what it means to come back into harmony with yourself. And if this conversation stirred something inside of you, if you felt recognition, longing, or the spark of, yes, this is the work I meant to do, to bring things back into balance, then I invite you even deeper. Inside my Manifestation Method Portal membership, I explore teachings like these, not just intellectually as a spoken podcast, but somatically, mystically, practically, inside your body, inside your spirit. And I use Kabbalistic wisdom, subconscious rewiring, and embodied practices to help you live from balance, from power, and from the truth of who you are. So if you're ready to keep walking this path and to peel back the layers of story and conditioning and return to your essence, then please, I welcome you to join me inside the portal. It's waiting for you. And before I close, let me leave you with the blessing. I bless you that you feel the radiance of your inner sun guiding you with clarity, strength, and courage. And I bless you to feel the glow of your inner moon holding you in intuition and grace. And may the marriage of the two bring you home to your wholeness, to your essence, and ultimately to your divine light. If you enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going inside the Manifestation Method Portal app, your #1 destination for Kabbalistic manifestation. Inside, you'll unlock the secrets of manifestation through my proven Abra method, rooted in Kabbalah, psychology, and quantum physics, designed to help you manifest real, tangible results from the inside out. Join our global community of manifestors, explore our signature courses, monthly live manifestation workshops with me, Ayelet, and access our transformational hypno activations and attunements to rewire limiting beliefs and align with your soul's purpose. The app is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To sign up, head over to ayeletpolonsky.com. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Let's manifest the life you desire and deserve together.